What is up, everybody? It's Thursday, so you know what that means. It's a new episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I am your host, Davin Jackson, also known as DJax Alpha. Thank you for joining. It's been a crazy week, and I know you guys probably want to hurry up and get to your weekend or your Friday or whatever it is. Like, I know it's been a crazy week for me. And again, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I greatly appreciate it. So I'm super excited about tonight's guest. He is a CEO. He is a mentor. He is a podcast host. We're actually in the same gang, I guess you could say. And all around, just a really great dude. And I've been really wanting to get him on the show for a while and kind of pick his brain and give y'all some gems from him. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, please welcome my guest, A.J. Yawn. How you doing, sir?
I'm living. What's going on, man?
Oh, looks like you're a little pixelated. You're coming in a little pixelated.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an echo there. Hold on.
Hold on. Here on camera.
No problem. It's live TV. Yeah,
I'm looking now.
Nah, it's still a little pixelated on your end. Hold on, let me try something on mine. It's a little better if I spread it out this way, but if I zoom in, it's a little pixelated. Well, it's a lot of pixelated. So hold on, let me see if I can fix something here. All right. So I think we could rock like this for a little bit. Again, thank you for joining the show. I know you are extremely busy. But for those who don't know, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people who you are.
Absolutely. And if it's still messed up, DJax, let me know. I can try to pop over to Chrome instead of Firefox, which I'm in now. That might be causing some of the issues.
Yeah, it's still a little bit. So go ahead and get an introduction, and then we'll go ahead and switch browsers.
Sounds good. So I'm A.J. Yawn. I'm the founder and CEO of Bytechek, a cybersecurity software startup where we help companies prove that they're compliant, prove that they're secure, earn SOC 2, ISO 27001, and HIPAA compliance reports. I've been in the cybersecurity industry for a little bit over a decade. Started my career in the U.S. Army, where I served for 6 years as an Army officer, ended up earning the rank of captain. Then I decided I didn't like sleeping outside no more, so got out of the Army and got into consulting, got into cybersecurity compliance consulting, where I joined a group where there was about 9 of us when I joined back in 2017. When I left in 2020, we were well over 120. We were doing SOC 2 and ISO and HIPAA and high trust, the full alphabet soup there of compliance frameworks. And while I was there, I just grew, man. I just had a great opportunity to grow and learn a lot about the cloud, learn a lot about AWS, and realized the opportunity that was there in both the compliance field and then also with the cloud. So I just was able to get promoted really fast, grow. And then last year in the middle of a pandemic, I decided it was a good time to start a company, and been building this business, Bytechek, working 16, 17-hour days daily for a long time now, it feels like, to build something special where I'm super excited about what we're building here, both for what we're doing for the customers, but also what we're doing for the culture and the community. I understand the position I am in as a Black founder, and being as authentic as I try to be, I think it's important for what we're doing just in general. So it's been a fun ride, man, and I appreciate you having me on the show and being a part of the Hacker Valley family with me too. Congrats to you on that.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, we're going to do a couple of applauses. So applause for one, thank you for serving one vet to another. We're going to do that. And then we're going to also thank you for being an example of Black excellence with starting your own company in a pandemic. And then we're going to give one more to shout out for the Hacker Valley family.
Yes, sir.
So you're a little bit pixelated, so I'm gonna let you switch browsers real quick, but I just want to give you a rundown real quick. So you'll hear the applauses every once in a while, and every time you drop a gem, we're gonna do I don't know if you're familiar with video games, but we're gonna drop the Navi from Zelda. So anytime you dropping something, and I think the people who need to listen, we're gonna go ahead and hit them with that. So go ahead, switch the browser. I'll rant for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. All right, so yes, everybody. Again, live television or live streaming or whatever it is you want to call it. I appreciate the patience, and like I said, it's been a crazy week. So I'm sure you've seen everything that's going on in the news with people getting arrested and billion-dollar Bitcoin schemes and grifters and then the news that came out today, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say to all parties involved, my prayers, and I hope that there's a resolution and justice is served. So we're going to leave it at that. If y'all know, y'all know. If you don't, just hang out on Twitter for a little bit. You'll find out soon enough. So while we're waiting, I'm just going to go ahead and say what's up to the chat. Love from the pack. Where are we at? Here we go. I'll run these by AJ when he gets back. But Zanette, friend of the show, I have been looking forward to this. Thank you. And shout out to Zanette. Actually, we're going to do another applause for Zanette for her new book that just came out, Oh No, Hack Again. So please go check that out. It's a really great book, and it's a really great book to share with your children to teach them about internet security and safety. Persistent Bake says, dope intro. Appreciate the love, sir. J Mill says, good afternoon, D Jackson community. Yes. Q quality of service. Hey, we working on it. Tish Talks Tech says hello to everyone. We have Kevin who also says hello. Kalila Scott says happy Thursday, Wolfpack. Textual Chatter, another friend of the show, last week's guest, Henri Davis says, what's up, fellas? Also, my episode with him is dropping tomorrow on his channel, so make sure you go check that out. And I can stop rambling now because we have AJ back. So I was just going through the list. A couple people said what's up. Zanette says she's been looking forward to this, and I know she said that you're a mentor to her, so shout out.
Yes, sir. Isn't that?
Yes. All right. So you kind of gave a brief rundown of how you got started, about going into the military, doing that, and then basically going into consulting. But how'd you get your start, like in tech? Like how'd you know you wanted to move into tech?
Yeah, I think the army kind of forced it on me. The army's gonna do what the army's gonna do, right? But I was always the guy growing up that was messing with the computers, getting stuff set up, and I always was interested in it. But I was an athlete growing up, so I was focused on playing sports. Went to college to play sports, and then I got into the army, and I realized I was good at it, and it was pretty interesting. And then when I decided I was leaving the army, it was when I really focused on, all right, I really want to get into tech because I just saw the opportunities. I started understanding what the salaries were like, the quality of life was like, and I was like, yeah, I need some of that. I need to get into whatever's going on over there. So my last year in the service, I knew I had a lot of experience. I knew I had a lot of things that I had done in my career that translated to the civilian sector, but I knew my resume didn't say that because I was just an Army officer. It didn't actually say I knew that stuff. So all of 2016, I actually did this twice. In 2016, started 2016 and then started 2020, deleted all the social media off of my phones and just locked in on grinding. In 2020, it was for Bytechek. In 2016, it was just to learn and get a bunch of certifications so that I could present myself as a good candidate for positions. Because I just knew that the opportunity for me to provide for my family, for me to live the life that I wanted to live, the only way I could do it was in this industry. So it was like a no-brainer. I was like, I'm for sure going into tech when I get out of the army because I know that the potential is unlimited.
Right. That was a little late, but so you talked about basically getting rid of all the distractions, right? Social media and all of that. And see, a lot of people, they they don't know that, sometimes to get into this field, or actually to get into this field, it takes a lot of sacrifice. So talk about that. And then I guess my follow-up question is, having that discipline, is that something that you think that the military, probably you got that from the military?
Yeah, I think the military enhanced a lot of it, but being an athlete, you got to be disciplined, especially at the college level to even make it there. And then I grew up raised by a Marine. My dad's a non-commissioned officer in the Marine Corps, so that discipline was kind of beat into me a little bit as an early kid. But the focus, yeah, man, I think a lot of times people can't take a break. They can't take a break from all of the extra stuff for a little bit of time to achieve a goal. It's like, working out. It doesn't matter what the goal is. Sometimes you just got to lock in. You got to decide I'm blocking everything else out and I'm getting laser focused. And to me, that meant fully embedding myself into tech. So I wasn't just no social media, the podcasts I was listening to, the books I was reading, the videos I was watching on YouTube. If I was doing anything outside of living and eating and breathing, I was studying this tech stuff because I said I had to speak the language. I got to know what, and I was coming from the military.
Yeah. No,
So
for real, it's like you got to be about that life, right? You can't walk around false claiming it. You gotta be about it.
facts.
So we're gonna get into real quick, but I'm just gonna go back to the pack real quick. So let's see here. We went through some of this, and then yes, Zanette says, "Congratulations, AJ, proud mentee here. So happy for all of your accomplishments and contributions." Absolutely.
Appreciate you.
And then Tish Talks Tech says, "Yes, I did that. Got rid of all the distraction when I have an exam." No, it's important. Um, I say I lock myself down. Like when I know I'm going into grind mode, I actually have a family discussion, and I'm like, "Listen, you will see me. I will come up. I will ask you about your day, especially with my kids. I will ask you about your day. But Daddy's gonna lock down for the next 60 to 90 days." To get this grind in. And it was harder when they were younger because they didn't understand it, but I think now as they're older, they totally get that. Hold on.
Yep.
Remember to sneeze into your shoulder. Let's see. Crazy says, "I'm in my last years in the military and working on them certs right now. Gotta grind." No, absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I missed out on in my time in the military. Like I wanted to get into tech, or I wanted to do something in media, and they said aircraft maintenance, and I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do aircraft maintenance." And they were like, "We'll give you $5,000," and I was like, "Okay, kid, 18-year-old kid from the hood." I'm like, "All right, cool." They didn't tell you that they're gonna tax the hell out of you, but
About 2,800.
yeah, but exactly. And then when you walk away with it, and then I walked away with it, and that's when the phones were just doing the nationwide thing, but I was still roaming. So my cell phone bill was like $2,000, and Mom Dukes was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need to take that." She like totally Jane Jetson what was left. So I had just enough to give me for a down payment for a Mercury Sable to drive back and forth to the flight line every night. So yeah, that was my $5,000. So that's what I sacrificed for like 2,200 in the car. That the transmission blew out like 3 months later, because you know how they get those lemon lots by the base.
Yep. Facts.
So all right, so it's funny that that we're mentioning this now, because obviously I do this show, and then I'm doing the Hacker Valley Blue, where I'm focusing on the blue team, right? And usually in cybersecurity, those are the two things that you hear. But you are in a different route, and it's like I guess it's like the strict older sibling of cybersecurity. And I say the strict older sibling because even though it's not the sexy job, I feel like it makes everything work. Like with what you do, it gives us purpose for what we need to do to make sure that the companies are secure. So talk about the importance of governance, risk, and compliance, and what you like about being in that field, as opposed to, I guess, like I said, the sexy jobs.
Yeah, I think the first reason I really like governance, risk, and compliance was because the bar for me being considered a technical expert was so low that I was able to shine as soon as I learned a little bit about AWS. And that's what I tell people when they're trying to break in. I'm like, man, go get a solutions architect and learn this GRC stuff, and you are in the top 1% of everybody in compliance. So that's why I really enjoyed it, because I was able to add a lot of value by not having to be a super technical dude in the industry. But it's important in the business. That's what, as I kind of learned more about it, I'm like, why are people paying so much money for these compliance assessments. And it's because they use these reports for two things. One, to go close deals. There's sometimes 6-7 figure deals on the line if you don't have a HIPAA compliance, a SOC 2, ISO, et cetera. So it's really, really important to the business. And if you talk to any CISO, they will tell you, you better know something about governance, risk, and compliance, because that's a big part of your job as a CISO. If you fail a compliance report as CISO, you might get fired. And you cannot know anything about that. The other thing CISOs use it for, to your point, on the blue side and the red side, to go get budget. That's how they go get budget and say, hey, we're failing all these controls. The auditor just came in and said all these controls were failing. We got to go buy these tools. We got to empower. We got to hire more people. We got to empower our team and give them these more tools. You can't get that support for cybersecurity without it. Cybersecurity is becoming more important at the board level, but you still got to come with a paper from somebody else that says this is wrong. We need to invest in it. And that's why I like it, man. It impacts the business. And it allows me, one of the things I loved about the Army, one of the things I love about compliance is I get to have a lot of conversations. I get to just really dive deep into what people are doing and how they're thinking about it, and advise them and just talk about all this tech stuff all day, which to me is cool because, I get to pontificate on it. I don't have to be the one that has to go do it. I'm like, yeah, y'all should go do all of those things and let me know when they're done. And I just go about my way. So I enjoy it, man. It's a cool field, and I encourage people breaking in. Everybody that breaks in, like, I'm gonna be a pen tester. Everybody's gonna be a pen tester. And it's like everybody don't have to be a pen tester. There's a lot of other avenues, and governance, risk, and compliance is a growing field where you can get paid a lot of money to do this.
Hey, listen.
I was just gonna say that, and the money is there. When we talk about cybersecurity jobs that are non-technical, GRC and technical writing, you will get the bag. Right then and there. And like you said, you learn the compliance stuff, you learn the AWS stuff. You're literally top tier. They are literally, you don't have to chase them. They are literally going to hit you on LinkedIn every day, spamming like, hey, I want to know what you're doing. Are you happy? And to your point, you have to be compliant. Like all these companies, if you want to get on the stock market, you want to go public, got to be compliant. If you want to get acquired by another company, a bigger company, you got to be compliant. HIPAA, SOC 2, PCI, like you got to follow all of these, and it's good to have that on your resume that you've worked in those fields, whether you're a pen tester who pen tests on compliance, or you're someone like yourself who knows it, understands it, can delegate it and explain it and manage a project around it. Because the other thing that people don't talk about, and I'm gonna give it to myself real quick, is that there are a lot of people who understand the compliance stuff and then turn around and get jobs like project managers on temporary basis, and you'll make 6 figures or close to 6 figures for like a 3, 4, 5, 6 month thing, right? So you can literally go on a 6-month contract, say, okay, I just need to get this company compliant by June. So you start in January, you're compliant by June, boom, and you're out the door. And now you made enough money that most people make in a year. So it's crucial to understand that. It's important that we understand it. And when I tell people, when people just look at it like, well, I don't want to know about all the stuff. Guess what? As a pen tester, I have to know the compliance, right? As a pen tester, let's say PCI, for example, I have to know the scope of a PCI assessment, because a PCI assessment is different than a regular assessment. So where I'm pen testing a regular network for vulnerabilities, a PCI assessment, now I also got to test the segmentation of the network. So now I need to make sure can everything, the network that's not on the cardholder data environment does not communicate with the cardholder data environment, because in PCI it's not supposed to. So now these are little things, these are little nuances to this assessment that you have to know, that you need to be able to sign off on. So guess what? You're gonna have to know compliance one way or the other. So shout out to you, and shout out to all my GRC folk. I know Khalila's in here. Khalila can speak to it. Like she's one of the success stories. She wanted to get into tech. She interned, and then she got herself a GR. There she is. Hashtag GRC GRC. But she got herself a GRC role, and now she's doing it. And there you go.
And pen test is a good example, because every compliance framework requires a pen test. Every single one requires it. And if you're doing the red team stuff, right, and this is what I try to tell people outside of compliance, is you can immediately add a lot of value by just knowing a little bit about the why behind your pen test. If you know it's like you were saying for a PCI, or if you know it's for HIPAA, you're like, okay, I'm really going to focus if I can get some personal information. If I can see some PII, if I can find that, that's what they're going to care about. And now you're more valuable. The next year, when you come back around and do that pen test again, they're like, we got to get that dude that found this PCI specific thing because he actually knows PCI. And that's where like a lot of these other areas of cybersecurity, the dope thing about the business, the dope thing about compliance that I love, we touch everything. Every aspect of the business we touch. So if you're doing something in security that's really dope, like really technical, it impacts compliance and you can actually help your compliance team, which now that just makes you super invaluable in an organization. They're not going to get rid of you because you're helping the most important thing when it comes to security, because most people don't understand what you're doing in security. They understand the compliance report though. The executives, they understand the SOC 2 report. They don't understand a pen test report. The pen test report feeds the SOC 2 report. And that's what I think, to your point, is important people to think about is you break in one way, you break in compliance, you can get to something else. You can get to pen test and you can get somewhere else. Don't look at it as, oh, I don't want to do that yet. You're going to have to. You're going to have to learn this stuff. So just go in and figure out a way to break in the door, then figure it out once you get in there.
And another secret that they don't know from the pen testing side, especially if you work at a consultancy, if you deliver a really good compliance report that the executive, not only that the technical folk love, but the executives love, that's job security, because your consultancy is going to want to keep you, but that company will call you by name. Will call for you by, and I'm speaking from experience. Like I did a pen test I did a PCI pen test one time, and I impressed the CTO so well that when I left the company 8 months later, but when it came back around for compliance, he asked for me and demanded me, so they paid me on a contract to go back and do it and deliver that report. Yep. So, again, know your stuff. Know your stuff. Tish says pen test on compliance. No, absolutely. That's the bread and butter. That's the that's where the money's at, right? If you can pen test and say, hey, I'm qualified to do HIPAA pen tests or PCI or SOC 2 engagements or whatever. Oh, that's a resume booster right there.
And you have partners now. Now you become a really strategic partner, because I can have a customer that needs, for SOC 2, they need a pen test, and we don't do pen tests at Bytechek. So I got to say, hey, you should go over here. These people do really good SOC 2 pen tests. Now you got a stream of business coming to you because you know the compliance stuff. So as a side note, DJX, we got to talk about business outside of this. And since I know a little bit more about what you do, we could, I got some customers for you for sure.
Oh, well, we'll definitely have to talk. So, all right. So I feel like I want to ask this next question, but because I'm going to get into it, I think I'm going to ask a question twice. So we're going to start off with just in your general career before moving to the entrepreneurial side.
Yeah.
What challenges have you faced or still face when you broke into the field and dealing with everything that comes with cybersecurity, tech, risk and compliance, the whole nine?
I think the biggest challenge I faced early on is trying to know all the things, because there's so much to learn in cybersecurity that when you first get in, you feel that imposter syndrome heavy, because there's new terminologies, there's new technologies. You think you learned something, you think you learned like a skill, and then that provider releases a whole new service on top of it the next day, and you're like, damn, I'm behind again. So initially it was trying to do too much. And when I started focusing, it was like, I'm just going to learn AWS. I'm going to become known as the cloud security guy on AWS. And if you have a question about AWS security, you can come to me for it. And when I focused, that helped me out. And then, being Black in tech is a challenge. Like, it's a challenge for all of us. Being a Black founder is a challenge for sure as well. But, going into a lot of these rooms and as a consultant doing compliance, and you're the only Black person you see, it's tough, because you can just tell there's no credibility. And I remember I would always feel like I had to talk about my Army experience to get people in the room, especially when I was in these, super red states out there traveling. I felt like I had to mention the Army early on so they start to respect me, because they just look at me like, oh, that dude doesn't know anything. It's like, all right, let me have to battle through this. And the same thing happened as a founder. I got to, there was, I'll give a couple stories later on, but there's just instances that have happened where it's like, I know I'm being treated differently because I'm a Black dude. And I I'll always tell people, like, my experience in tech, like Black people's experience in tech, is not the same as anyone else's, and I will stand on that. Like, we we go through a lot, man. Like, and it's microaggressions, it's overt stuff. It's difficult, and part of the reason why I wanted to start Bytechek was because I realized, even though I was, doing my thing, like I was making more money than I ever could imagine, traveling all over the world, doing everything right, I still wasn't being able to impact other people that look like me. I wasn't able to get people jobs, even though I was in a senior role. I was a senior leader at the company, and I still was struggling to get people that I wanted to break in because the system was not built for us. The system, like a lot of systems in America, were not originally built for us. So the way that you fix it is you build your own systems. And that's what I've done with Bytechek, where I'm just going to, Bytechek is going to be the future of what tech looks like, especially in cybersecurity. When you look at the type of people that are on my team, the type of people that have come through here and the things that they've been able to do, I hope to show, like, hey man, you can be yourself. You can be Black, you can be proud, you can be whoever you are and be proud at Bytechek. But I'm making sure that people, especially our people, feel safe and feel like a place they can come to, because as a Black person in tech, not a lot of places you can do that.
For one, I'm not even gonna do. Let's do that. Real quick. So Ashley says, don't forget about FedRAMP. Ashley, I am not forgetting about FedRAMP. I can't stand FedRAMP.
Yeah, I'm forgetting about FedRAMP. I'm running from FedRAMP.
But yes, but to your point, there's a lot to unpack there. To your point, the struggle to fight for your existence, it was like for me, it was a daily thing. It was like all my life I had to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was real. Like I can't tell you how many times I would do a pen test remotely, but then we would be in person for the report to review the findings, and I would be in the room and they would go, so when's the pen tester going? When's the pen tester going to be here? Or when's the project manager going to be here? And I'm like, that's me. And then you get to talk and they're like, and you found this and you did this. And I'm like, yeah. And then you get to speak into it and it's like, oh, even when I write blog pieces, and it's like, and what makes you qualified to speak? Like, I remember I did one about the CISSP, and it was like, what makes you qualified to speak on the CISSP? I don't know. Maybe the CISSP that I don't, you know what I'm saying? And it can get frustrating. And I tell a lot of my mentees or people that I just talk to, because I don't actually have time to actually mentor like that. But I tell them, like, unfortunately, and I hate to say it's a part of the game because it shouldn't be, but I tell them not to. So I tell them I tell them to expect it.
Yeah.
I'm not telling them that to accept it. I'm not telling them to be okay with it. I'm telling, call them out when it happens and stand firm on your own, but don't be surprised when it happens, because it will for people of color, for women, LGBTQ. It's going to happen. You are not the norm. You are not who they expect. So they are going to sit here and they're going to scrutinize and bother you, and they're going to try to pick at every little thing because they're not comfortable with your level of success to speak to them. Like, who the hell are you to tell me that my stuff isn't secure? So again, going back to, I think, the overarching theme that I've had all 2022, this is why it's important to know your stuff, because you will be called out on it and you will be challenged, unreasonably. But if you know your stuff, you can stand your ground. And then to your point, the next point about starting a business, yeah, absolutely. We gotta be okay with building our own, but we also need to be okay with helping others to build their own as well.
Facts.
In our community, there's too much of a crab in a barrel mentality. So it's almost like you started a business, and someone come to you and go, AJ, man, point me in the right direction. And it's like, oh no, my brother, you got to get your own. You know what I'm saying?
You got to go through the mud.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and too many people get discouraged because, they want to do the same thing. And then as soon as they try to, we are our own worst enemy at time, right? Like for like in the beginning when I started the show, I used to say, what can others do to help us? And then I stopped because allyship is great, but when the allyship is performative, when the allyship is temporary, for example, in the height of 2020, everybody was kumbaya and let's go team, and we are one big happy family in June. And then by December, crickets,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So now the people who were riding that wave, when it stopped, so did their momentum.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, okay, let's stop asking what others can do for us and what can we do to help ourselves.
Yep.
Because it's only then will the other people take us seriously. You see what I'm saying?
Or,
So,
on top of that, it's not even about we create our own, we put our own people on, they go create their own. And then
yeah,
now we're just building these own systems. And it's like, I don't care if y'all take me seriously. That's how I am right now. I do not care if there's people out there that think that I'm not serious with Bytechek, because we're growing a big company. It's going to be Black led, and we have Black investors that are going to make it from this. I have Black employees that are going to grow from this. And we're building it.
I love it. Talk that shit.
They go in, and then people are going to go start their own companies, and they're going to do the
Yes.
same thing. And now, 20 years from now, we're going to look back and say, oh, that's how cloud security looks like this now. That's why cloud security looks like the NBA, because of when it started back here. We started creating these people in this field. And I think that's what you're saying is like, we got to stop the I was on I think it was like early or late 2020. It was with the Blacks in Cybersecurity, and we were on a like a black tech talk. A bunch of leaders of a dope little show, and they were asking about nepotism. They were like, "Oh, how do we feel about nepotism? How do we feel about people looking out for each other?" And I was like, "Put your people on."
Listen.
We can't try to play different games than they playing a different game. They're playing that game. They're putting their people on, so we got to put our own people on.
Let me tell you something. If I can get my mama a bag, and if I could put my wife on, why not? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm not saying put them in positions that they're not qualified for, right? But for example, I run a business, and you got to budget out things for events and catering and stuff like that. I'm gonna put my wife on, right? She does custom cakes. She can do catering. All right. If I need someone to do artwork, I'm gonna put my children on. I'm gonna put my people. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to look to my people first, right? I call it what you want, but at the end of the day, everybody's doing the same thing. And again, being our own worst enemy is the thing where we feel like we have to do everything above and beyond, right? What's the thing that we've all been told? Work twice as hard to get half the recognition.
Yep.
As I get older, I think that's probably part of the reason why I get burned out so quick now is because I worked so hard and I was doing this one's job and this one's job and this one's job. And then finally it was just like, no, I'm going to get what I deserve because I earned it. And I'm not going to do no more. And now I literally put any contract I sign, any company I work with, I hit them with a big red from the 5 heartbeats. My office hours are from 9. I'm not going to hold you over the balcony, but my office hours are from this time to this time, right? And I had one time where I was like, one night I had to work late because it was important. And I said, I worked a little late. And they were like, yeah, for you. And I'm like, you damn right for me.
Facts.
Right? Don't get mad at me because I negotiated it. Yeah. So, we gotta change the way we think. to quote Pop, we got to change the way we think. We got to change the way we live, and we got to change the way we treat each other. Right?
Yeah.
It's
important for us to not try to continue the same things and think they're going to work. We got to figure out ways. And like you said, it's not about charity. And I think sometimes people think it's about charity. Like you put people that are qualified in positions, but we have to acknowledge that there were systems set up to keep us out. So for us to break these systems, we have to go about it differently. We have to look in different places. We have to be intentional about getting our people in. And to your point, a lot of it is we just don't look out for each other. We just don't look out and support other businesses that are run by people that look like us, and try to get people in position. So I think it's really, really important for anybody listening to this. If you are in a leadership position and you are a Black individual, look around and see what have you done to change and to make it to where your journey is not repeated. Because no one should have to go serve 6 years in the Army to get into the field that I got into. Like, these things need to get faster. We don't need to make them slower. Like, I tell people all the time, like, it took me 30 years to figure out about, I need to meditate, I need to be mindful, and I need to take some time for myself on a daily basis. It should take my son 15. Like, it shouldn't take him 30 to figure that out. It's my responsibility to accelerate that, right? And that's in cybersecurity. It's our job, if we made it, to accelerate people's path into this field. And that's either through mentoring, that's by us being on podcasts and talking and sharing our knowledge and giving resources out. But we have to be intentional about it, or we're going to, 20 years from now, it's going to be the same situation.
So, and just real quick, so just to clean it up and reset the room. So when we talk about this, we don't necessarily mean, like I said, it's not like, oh, I'm gonna put my family who have no experience into a job that they can't do. No. For example, like AJ said, if I'm in a position where I can make decisions, and my CISO or someone comes to me and says, we need to find somebody who can do compliance, I'm gonna reach out to AJ. I'm gonna reach out to Kalila. We need a pen tester, right? We have to put ourselves on the list. Now, sometimes it will work, sometimes it may not. And again, there's nothing wrong with picking other people, or picking, because I know the argument on the other side is, oh, you should just pick the best qualified candidate. And that's true. But if you're only looking from one pool, are you really looking for the best qualified, or are you looking for the best qualified in that pool?
Exactly.
So no, I'm gonna look here, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give them an opportunity, and if they can't do it, I'm gonna give them an opportunity. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you don't like it, hey, I'm trying. Look, I'm trying to get sponsors, so I'm trying to behave myself. But we have a special guest in the room. Chris Cochran says, my brothers love seeing this, and he says, hashtag Hacker Valley family. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And then Tish says, thank you for investing in your people. Absolutely. Kalila says 9 to 5. No, it is. It's the way you got to do it, man. Work-life balance, especially when you have a family and kids, like they will try to make, especially now, they will try to make you feel guilty for trying to work your set hours because you're working from home. They're like, well, since you're working from home, you should put in an extra 3-4 hours. You're going to be in front of your computer anyway. Nah. No, I'll be in front of my computer doing what I want, or doing business for myself. Yeah. Now, which we're going to segue into doing business for yourself. So now you go through all of this. Like you said, you're in a consultancy, you're making decent money. We hit a pandemic and you decide in the middle of a pandemic, you know what? I think I'm going to start a business, and I think now is the great time to do it. Talk about your thought process with that. What led you to make that decision, and how it paid off, honestly?
Yeah, the decision started back in 2018 when I realized there was an opportunity in the space. But I knew I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough about business. I didn't know enough about the space. I didn't know enough about how to build a business in 2018. So I knew I had to go out and learn and keep getting promoted, keep learning more about business. Try to find out more about sales and marketing and just how does all this stuff work. So I focused on learning, initially when I first had the idea. Then when the time came, and I think it was in fall of 2019, I knew I was done. I knew that at this point I had done everything I could there, and the itch to start a company was already over. Like, the thought process, the seed was planted. So it was just a matter of me finalizing it. But a couple of the reasons why I launched the company that gave me the courage to launch it and then withstand, taking a, let me do the math real quick, $210,000 pay cut to, that being able to do that first is like, I managed my money well up to that point. So I had some savings, I had the ability to take a pay cut. Right. And that was helpful. The second is I knew, because of the space that I was in. I had so much experience, I had so much knowledge, so I knew what I was doing. I knew what problem I was solving. I think a lot of people try too hard to start a business for the sake of starting a business. Don't do that. Know the problem, know it deeply, know it intently, know all the ins and outs, know all of the flaws, everything about it, because starting a business around something, you're going to learn a lot more about it. And if you don't have those skills and stuff and experience already, it's really difficult. So I felt really confident because I was an expert. And then lastly, I wasn't fulfilled, man. Like making the money I was making did not fulfill me. I thought it would. I was dreaming, I dreamt of making that much money, thinking about all the stuff I was able to buy and things I was able to do for my children. But I realized I wasn't impacting no one else. Like my immediate family was impacted, my kids, it was good, I was good. But I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do for my mom, for my brothers and sisters, for my friends, and really have an impact at scale that I think I should be doing. I feel like my purpose in this life is to impact a lot of people, and I knew starting a company was a great way for me to do that. Robert Smith, the founder of BET, now he runs Vista Equity Partners, always says every founder should have a second purpose, because you have to have something that gets you to keep going beyond the financial piece of it, right? Like I'm very confident in the financial outcome of what's going to happen for Bytechek, but it's about that, but it's not about that. It's about the impact that I'm leaving. It's about me being authentic as a founder and being public and showing people that this is another option for you. You don't have to play sports. You don't have to do something illegal. You don't have to go be a doctor. You can do this. And I come from, a city where, there's heavy gang violence, heavy, all that stuff. I went to a really tough high school. So I know what people are thinking of when they're getting out of those environments. It's not this. And it's because they don't see enough of us. They don't see us doing this and see that we are not nerds. We're cool. We're cool people. We listen to the same music as you. We do all the same stuff as you. We just like this tech stuff, and we know what it's been able to do for our families and changing the trajectory of our family. And it's fun. Some of us really enjoy this. Like I really enjoy what I do. So I had a second purpose. So in the early days of the pandemic, the first paycheck I got, I was like, you're tripping. Why did you just do this? That's crazy. You really took this chance. But I knew I had a bigger purpose to what I was doing, and just kept pushing. I knew one of the things I don't want to do is be on my deathbed and I'm thinking about all the things I wish I would have done. I didn't want to think about, I wish I would have started a company. So I was just going to try it. I didn't care if there's a pandemic. I didn't care what was going to happen. I was going to go out and do this. And it's been the best decision of my life. There is nothing, I was put on this earth for this, and I know it, both for the cybersecurity aspect of it, but for the people aspect and the leadership and being able to really build something where people enjoy being a part of, people enjoy coming to work, and we can all have a nice financial outcome. I just, it's been an amazing experience, man. Like I started a business and made me focus on me, made me be a better father, made me do all the things that I wanted to do because I had to lock in on every aspect of my life to get this going. And starting in a pandemic, I think helped me for two reasons. One, daycares were closed, so I saved a lot of money. My nest egg was
that's a gem right there.
egg expanded because daycare was closed. But then the pandemic forced crisis. Sometimes when you're in a crisis, it makes you focus on the things that you're supposed to focus on anyways. But now you're hyper vigilant and you decide to focus on them. So starting a business, there's a lot of basics you got to do in the early days. There's a lot of legal stuff, a lot of accounting stuff, things you don't want to do. There's a lot of foundational marketing stuff you should do. I did all the things because there was no going outside. We didn't really know what was going on in the early part of 2020. It was still kind of wild. So no one was really doing much. And I was just locked in every single day in the crib, building this app out, building the company, trying to figure out how we were going to make business until we launched in November. And the pandemic helped me right there with just focus, man. And it's been, there's a lot of great companies that were started in 2008 around the recession, like Airbnb, and a few others. And I think there's going to be a lot of companies that came out of the pandemic where people finally just decided they were going to lock in and build something special. And, it's going well. We just raised a $3 million seed round of funding.
See, you beat me to
it. From some good VCs. We can talk about the people behind it. 80% of our investors are black-led funds or black angel investors, which is really important to me to have, people that look like me on the cap table, supporting me and helping us get there and grow the business. But also, if this works out, more Black people are empowered to go write more checks for more Black founders and keep this thing going as long as we can.
Now you beat me to it, so congratulations on that. Because I was gonna say that's one of the challenges that a lot of people have is finding funding, and you were able to raise those funds. So yeah, that kudos to you for that. Um, and also, respect, man, respect. Like, taking that chance. I mean, I preach all the time, always bet on yourself, but you took a major bet, right? You took. I mean, some people try to bet and try to have a security blanket, right? Like, for example, when I was switching jobs and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I was getting offers, but they wanted me to leave this on. They wanted me to leave all this behind. And yeah, I bet on myself, but I was still able to, land something else. Going out and venturing on your own, that's a completely different journey. Like you said, it has a lot of paperwork and legal stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that you're going to do that's not going to get you paid for a while. But to do that, have the discipline, and the self-control to, not freak out when things were rough. That respect, man. You definitely, like, geez, you're my hero right now.
I appreciate it, man. I tell people it's crazy. Like, I don't want any, like, that was a crazy decision. Like,
Yeah,
I don't recommend at all, like, somebody to walk away from that much money and try to go and literally just jump out. I felt like I was there, I was ready, and I had the opportunity to do it. And, I just was there was this story I heard recently, like a keynote, I think, I can't remember who did it with Will Smith. They were like, on your deathbed, there's going to be a bunch of ghosts standing around you of things that you had ideas about. And they're going to be asking you, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you choose me? And I think about that often of like, I don't want to, even as I'm running Bytechek, like as things were going very poorly or in some of the early days, sometimes last year, there's ups and downs of this stuff. Before the race, things were going really bad. And I still knew at that moment, I wasn't going to have one of them ghosts by my deathbed saying, damn, why'd you quit? Why'd you quit Bytechek? Why'd you stop doing this? I'm going to see this through. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm headed somewhere. I'm going into a direction. That direction is building $1 billion company. I'm going. So like, I don't care how long it takes. I don't care if the bus breaks down. I don't care if the wheels fall off. I don't care if I have no shoes. I'm going that way and I'm going to get there. And that's been my mindset. Like, I'm not stopping. I'm just going to go. And you got to have that type of kind of psychopathic focus to do this if you're going to do it.
And I absolutely, totally agree. Like I said, I have plans of what I want to do with Alpha Cybersecurity. I thought about consultancy. I'm not sure. I still want to do stuff around content creation. I think I'm leaning more towards the education route, though. I think I'm, like you said, that second purpose. I want to run my own company, but I think my company I want my company to be focused on helping others and helping others get into the field and, teaching what I can. So, that's been the goal, I think, now for the last year and a half. And I think it like you said, you gotta have that hyper focus because it gets difficult. Like, things get in the way, life gets in the way. We're still, like I said, we're still in a pandemic, but you got to have that focus.
Yeah.
So couple follow-up questions. I see Kalila asked, she's interested in hearing what drove you to create a GRC tool.
Great question. Great question. So I was traveling around doing all these compliance assessments. One of the things I was doing where I would go into companies and talk to their engineers and be like, tell me about your cloud environment. We take a look and I'd help them build out a secure cloud infrastructure and build some really cool security controls. And I loved like automation on AWS. I loved the fact that you can automate security controls. But what I was doing for a living, I was not automating security controls. I was manually asking people for screenshots and doing crazy stuff that doesn't make any sense in the cloud. And I'm like, why don't we automate this stuff? Like, I'm naturally lazy. So like, I'll spend 2 hours trying to automate something that probably take me 6 minutes to do. But it's because I love to automate things. And it was really about that, Khalil. Like, I just wanted to automate the process because I saw how much time it was taking away from the engineers. And I also didn't like the fact that people would come to me and be like, oh, AJ, you're a technical auditor. I'm like, what does that mean? We're evaluating technical environments. Everybody should be a technical auditor. And most people are putting these really, like we talked about, these are important reports, right? And we're putting the faith into people that don't even understand the cloud to write this report, to put it together. They're asking you about firewalls on AWS. And you're like, bro, what about, you mean security groups? They're like, I don't know what that is. Like, hold on, man. Like, you're the one that's going to tell me if I have security in place. So it's like, we can't do that. That's why I'm so passionate about this field, is because people are paying thousands of dollars, spending months of time doing these compliance assessments and they're getting no security value out of it. They're not finding out truly what's going on from a cloud security perspective. So I wanted to build a tool that does that, where we automate things, connect directly to the cloud providers, pull it in automatically, and actually get security value out of these assessments. We look at S3 bucket access. You pick up a normal SOC 2, you won't even see nothing about
I don't
S3.
see nothing about that. Yeah, that's optional,
man. So that's why Kalila.
Yeah, and I think companies as a whole, they're not even really worried about being compliant. They're just worried about the piece of paper that says they're compliant, right? It's like they don't want a report. And I think, with having a tool like that, that's important, because now it's broken down in a granular way where it's like, okay, I can see what this issue is. Like you said, S3 buckets, like that's important. Most of the breaches now are APIs and misconfigured S3 buckets or misconfigured cloud configurations. If you don't believe me, go look at what happened to Capital One. But it was literally those two.
They probably paid $100,000 for their SOC 2 report.
Yeah, probably. And then another follow-up question. So Tish says, what is the end goal? I know you touched on it and said you want to be $1 billion company, but what's the end goal with Bytechek?
Yeah, I mean, I think because of the space that we're in, and because of how disruptive Bytechek's technology is, I imagine that we're going to get acquired, that someone is going to pay a hefty price for this company. But my underlying goal is I want to build a really big business. I want to build a really big business, a humongous company with thousands of employees that we're making a lot of money for ourselves. People are changing the trajectory of their lives from a wealth perspective. Our customers, are solving. I want Bytechek. My goal for Bytechek, the product, we're the center of the universe for compliance. If you're checking out Alpha Security, if you're checking out Google, if you're checking out Microsoft, you're going to come to Bytechek to do that, because you're going to see all the details, and we're going to actually have compliance and security together, where people are going to see, okay, this is security. I can take something from that pen test report, and I see that Bytechek has already automated what that means from a SOC 2, FedRAMP, ISO, et cetera perspective. So that's the future of the product. If we do that, we accomplish that, all the things that come with that, I'm confident in. And I think from a financial perspective and an exit perspective, we're disruptive enough, and disruptive technologies do not last very long. And this is a pretty big market.
So Professor Black Ops, I think he already answered your question about federal compliant, because he said they do FedRAMP. And Kiki said, yeah, that's her struggle right now. She's in screenshot hell.
Gotta call Bytechek.
There you go. That's the plug. And then Chris says, yes, sir. Keep climbing. Absolutely. Yes. So, all right. So we're gonna go. Let's see. So now we talked about the business. We talked about, actually, one thing that I actually noticed, and I put this in here because I was super impressed by it, and I think it's something that we don't talk about enough. Lately, you've been posting a lot of things about mental health and mental health awareness. Again, respect, because that is something that we all struggle with. I struggle with on a daily basis. I know a lot of people who are in the game, and again, there's not enough, no disrespect to nobody else. Let me start by that, but there's not enough Black men speaking about it, right? I see you, I see me, I see Brandon Robinson, who wrote I don't even have the book right here, but he I see him, Tyrone Wilson started a YouTube channel, and he talks about it and actually has shows on there dedicated to it. Speak about, that the importance to you, and then the importance to actually put that out there and share it.
Yeah, for me, it's important because it's my life. And I realize that I am not the best version of myself if I don't take care of my brain. And it took me starting the business to do that. And one of the things that why I'm so public about it is I want people to feel comfortable not being okay. I want people to feel like it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to cry as a man. None of these things are unique or things that you should be ashamed of. And it's because of just, lived experiences, from things in the military to things growing up, where you grow up in environments where you have friends that are killed through gang violence, and you kind of see a lot of that stuff. So I had a lot of scars that I had to get and work through. And when I realized how much better I am as an individual when I focus on my mental health and I take that time to take a break, and the power of it, and then how powerful it is from a happiness perspective. It's been amazing, man. Like, and I just wanted to make sure I shared, and also, like, there's a lot of dudes out there hurting. There's a lot of dudes out there that are depressed about their current situation. They're depressed or they're sad, but they feel like they can't talk about it. They feel like they can't share that information. And hopefully, with me sharing, with me being public, that I had a moment back last year around this time, I think, where I wrote my team on Slack, like, I'm out for the weekend. I woke up and I am just extremely depressed. I'm sad. I need to block out. And I was public about it and told them I had to do this. And a few of my team members even reached out to me and were like, thank you for saying that, because I felt the same way, but I was scared to say something. And that's my whole purpose of it, is I want to empower people to talk about mental health and then give them some skills to improve it. I talk a lot about meditation because it's been a game changer for me, like morning routines and focusing on me in the mornings, doing different mindful things throughout the day has been amazing. And then the really dope part about this focus on mindfulness that I've had over the last couple of years is my kids. I'm a better dad because of it. My son mimics me meditating. My daughter mimics me meditating. And now they know about mindfulness. They understand. They have a mantra they say every day. They have things that they do, breathing techniques that they do that I've taught them. And they, I didn't know that stuff. I learned this at 30, and this is no fault to my parents. I had great parents that, despite their relationship status, raised me and my siblings very well. And I'm grateful for both my dad and my mom, but they were young. They didn't know about any of this stuff. And my dad wasn't talking about mental health, back in the 90s. So it's something that I am just so, glad that I've been exposed to it, and I can be the voice. If I'm the one that people think about when they're going through a moment, they're like, you know what, AJ goes through something similar, and this is not normal. That's the goal, man. I hope people can understand, like, especially Black men, you don't got to be tough all the time, man. I know the pressures we have as Black men in this world, the fear we live in at times, regardless of what we do, that causes PTSD, that causes trauma, that causes stress. And we got to just talk about it. We got to be open about it. We got to be able to tell our friends, like, man, I'm not doing well right now. I need you to uplift me. I need you to speak into me. And it's been the reception has been so cool from the community. It was kind of scary being vulnerable about mental health and talking about this stuff, but I get empowered by the messages where people say, man, thank you so much for sharing that. Like, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear about that. And I needed to see that you go through the same things that I go through, that you also struggle, being tired as a dad, being overworked, being stressed, being overwhelmed. And then I give strategies to help fix that. So yeah, man, I'm glad that there's more energy about it. I'm glad you're talking about it. I'm glad Tyrone's talking about it, because we need more Black men expressing, like, you know what, this stuff is hard. Life's hard, and that's okay.
No, facts. Shoot, we don't like. I tell people all the time, I had PTSD before the military, right? Because of what you said, growing up in that environment, having friends killed or dying for different reasons, family members, and having to deal with that trauma and having to deal with it, and then not having the proper outlets because no one knew any better. So I probably had PTSD before I saw anything in the service. Then you go into the service and have to deal with it. And I'm not even just talking about, actually going to war or stuff like that. There's a lot of things that you deal with in the military, the microaggressions, the indirect and direct nonsense, the office drama, right? Because there's a lot of people, they'll tell you, like, they'll be like, oh, the military, no, BS. No, I dealt with more nonsense in the military than I did as a civilian. I think I was called the N-word more times in the military than I was outside. But you have to you deal with these things, and for so long we're told, just deal with it, just swallow it, use it as fuel, right? And for so long, but what happens when that no longer works? Now you have no outlet, you have nothing to do. So yeah, I tell people, therapy helps. Talk to somebody. Talk to if you can't talk to your friends or your family, pay someone to talk.
Yes.
Go to
therapy.
Go to therapy. Go to the gym. Like, I invested in a heavy bag, and I beat the hell out that heavy bag. And then when especially during the pandemic when we couldn't go out, oh that was the best investment ever. Because
Yeah.
I just put it in the corner and I'm just like, yo, I'm just gonna punch and punch until I can't punch no more, and then I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna breathe and I'm gonna work through it. But you have to work through it. You can't internalize it because it will destroy you. So yeah, so thank you. And I think the other thing that's special about what you did is you're the CEO. So now to see the man in charge say, listen, it's okay to not be okay, that empowered what you did empowered so many. If you don't know it, that empowered so many people, right? Because I'll give an example. The other day I was just having a conversation with a bunch of coworkers and I said, check everybody, just check on your mental health. It's important. I know we're dealing with a lot of stuff and the stress is real, and I just tried to say it and someone tried to cut me off and they were like, the only stress is that we work very well, and the stress is that we're trying to deal with being more successful. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna let that one slide because clearly you just talking out your ass. But like you said, parenting, like we weren't given a guide, and like you said, there were things that our parents didn't necessarily do correct. So now we're trying to break that cycle,
Facts.
right? Like my father didn't speak to about his feelings. My father was an old school Jamaican man, like feelings. Only thing he felt was if he hit something, right? So it was like, okay, so now when I become a father, yeah, it's easy with a daughter because it's like, oh yeah, my little princess. But when you have a son, right? For me, that was a pivotal moment for me because it was, I remember I remember what it felt like to be that boy that just wanted his father to acknowledge him or say that he was proud of him or whatever. So now do I continue and build my son up the same way or do I break that cycle?
Right.
But on the flip side, there were a lot of lessons that my dad taught.
Yeah.
He may not have taught it in the ideal fashion,
Yep.
but how do I now take those lessons without the harshness of it, but still got to be a little harsh because you got to have that. There's got to be a harsh reality, but
Yeah.
it's still got to come from a place of love and relay that to my son. Right. And then there's socioeconomic things on top of it too. Like we grew up in the inner city. These kids is in the suburbs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's so many different things. And that alone, like being the head of a house, being the man of the house and the real head of the household, right? And I'm not saying I'm not trying to get canceled or nothing like, oh, you're saying man. No. The head of the household, whether you're sharing that duty with your partner or whatever, being the head of the household is like running your own business,
Man.
but it's to me it's a lot harder because these are little lives you're shaping.
Yeah. The stakes are higher.
The stakes are higher, right? Especially in the times that we live in.
Yep.
I can't have my son go out there thinking he hard and he this and he that, but he's still got to be tough enough to kind of deal with what life throws at him,
Facts.
right? I
Facts.
can't have my daughter worrying about what she sees on her phone as ideal for a teenage girl.
Right.
In an age where the teenage rate, the rate of teenage suicides in females is a lot higher than anybody else because of the image issues that they have by looking at social media.
Yep.
But how do I do that without how do I do that and how do I protect her yet not shield her from the reality of the world?
Right.
Like these are things that deal with and these are the things that I struggle with mentally because now am I a good father? Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I pay the bills and I do this, but did I spend enough time? Did I do this?
Right.
Did I do that?
Right.
Shit, did I pay this bill? You know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff piles on you. So you have to have an outlet. So you have to speak about it. And like I said, respect to you for speaking about it to your company. You being the head person in charge, you set the tone. And now it makes people know that it's okay. Because like you said, you could be in a situation like me where you're not necessarily me where I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever, shut up.
Yeah.
And you might feel like you've just been silenced.
Yep.
And now where do people go from there?
Exactly. I think something that we need to talk about with our people is the mental pressure, what you were talking about, just running a household and the pressures of being a parent. But a lot of us are the first ones in the family to make it to whatever that make it stage is. And the pressure that comes with being the first college graduate, with being the first one to cross a certain threshold of income, to be the first one to buy a home, the first one to do all these things, first one to travel, the pressures of your family. And now you're not the head of your house. You are the head of your entire family. And someone needs to, I think we need to talk more about that pressure from a Black people perspective.
Not only do we need to talk about that, but we also need to talk about the loneliness it brings.
It's lonely at the top. It's lonely.
Because now certain friends that you hung around with, they're proud of you, but they say certain things and is really rooted in jealousy.
Yeah.
Right. You have friends who feel like you need to bring them with you, right? Then you need to bring them the whole step of the way. You had, and then you feel, then you're stuck because you want to keep it real.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need to have that kind of conversation. That's a conversation we need to have too. But one of the things we can talk about, since we're talking, is podcasting, and I think that's definitely been a great outlet for me. Is your podcast, is this your first foray into the podcasting world?
Yeah, I was on the other side of the table for a long time, and now I'm on the host side. It's pretty cool.
All right, well, congratulations to you. And your podcast, To Comply or Not to Comply, which is a dope show. If you haven't checked that out, I put the link right here. I'll put the link in the chat as well. But talk about that, how that came to be, how Chris and Ron, because I tell the story at the time about how Chris and Ron approached me, and it was like it brightened up my day that I was having. But talk about that process, about how that came to be, and what the show's about.
Yeah, so Chris and Ron, my relationship with Hacker Valley started when in 2020 they had a contest, like a poster contest or a giveaway or something, that I just entered because I really wanted to talk to Chris and Ron. I wanted to talk to them about what I was building at Bytechek. That was my method in 2020. I was trying to talk to anybody that would listen about what I was building behind the scenes. And I won the giveaway. So I hopped on a call with them, and we were supposed to have a mastermind session. And I was about a month from launching the company. And I was like, yo, so here's what I got going on. Here's what I'm building. And they were like, oh, let's help you out. Let's do a live stream on the day of the launch to tell people about what you're doing, get you on the podcast, get you an episode out there. And I thought, that was the dopest thing ever. And since then, we've just been family. We've done a lot of content together. I've supported their podcast tremendously from just getting the word out about what I think they're doing over there with Hacker Valley. And then when I knew I was going to start a podcast, one of my methodologies for Bytechek is running it like a media company. We are going to have the podcast, we're going to have the videos, we're going to have the blogs. And to be successful in today's day and age that is just content saturated, you have to operate your company like a media company and be on all these distribution channels to make sure that people know you and know about you. So starting the podcast was an inevitable outcome. And I knew when I did it, it was going to be with Hacker Valley, like no questions about it. Had to be under the Hacker Valley family. So I called up Chris and Ron. I was like, it's time. Let's get this going. The podcast originally was going to be called Compliance Isn't Security. And it had a dope logo, it had a little equal sign in there. But Chris called me one time. Chris called me like right before we were going to launch. It was like, yo, got an idea. Why don't we change the name of the podcast so that you're not boxed in to only talk about cybersecurity compliance? You can talk about a wide range of topics. And he threw out this To Comply or Not to Comply. And I love the little Shakespearean theme on it. And it allows me to have really dope conversations with security professionals about when did they break the rules? When did they decide, you know what, I do got to go down this path. This is the way to do it. But then when did they decide I'm not going to play that game no more? And like I was saying earlier, build your own systems and decide that I'm going to do something different. And it's been fun, man. Like being on the other side is cool because you just ask questions and learn from dope people and get to have a good conversation and then share it. I think a lot about my kids with the podcast and all this content that I'm doing. I wish I could go back and watch my dad when he was 33 years old and see what he was talking about and see the things he was building. So the podcast is going to be dope from that perspective. And yeah, I'm talking to, CISOs, leading security professionals. We get into compliance and security because what I want people to hear from security professionals is that security and compliance are not opposing forces. There's not a fight here. We are on the same team, and compliance has to help security become better and try to be the cop and the police, but we need to be enablers and help them. So it's some really, cool conversations. I appreciate you dropping the links and being a part of the Hacker Valley family with all y'all podcasters that actually know what you're doing. And I'm just over here playing around.
Man, look, for one, that actually just gave me an idea. And Chris, I don't know if you on, but I think we need to do to AJ's point, because we I don't want to talk, I don't want to divulge, too many secrets. But I think we need to do something where we bring all the shows together, right? And have one, because like you said, we're all one team, right? And speaking to my show, Hacker Valley Blue, it's a different concept because I'm on the offensive side and I'm interviewing blue team folk, and I want to talk to them about, I want to shine some light on what they're doing. So, and address some concerns that we have on the red side. Right. So it's like, what difficulties do you have when you can't patch, or when you can't do certain things, or what the issue is, and also, to also highlight what they do, because again, offensive security, pen testing, all that's the stuff that's the stuff that you see on TV, right? So you don't hear about DFIR, which the crazy part is that's where I wanted to actually lead when I first got in the game, but I just wasn't going into law enforcement. Yep, Chris is there. He said, yeah, let's bring everyone together. No, absolutely. I think that would be great, because especially for the theme that Alyssa Knight and I are trying to build with our shows with Hacker Valley Red and Blue. I think that will bringing you in, and same thing with Alan and everybody else, and having it like it's all the same team.
Yeah,
because there's too many silos, right? You have red team, who's like, I mean, they're trying to do stuff now with purple, but even then, GRC is still kind of left out. And like we said, GRC is like the parent. GRC is like the older sibling. Where so you have red versus blue versus GRC versus, then you have outside entities, developers, third party teams, management, the C-suite. So we got to have a united front. But and so you have a couple episodes out already, and look, I'm about to mess with Chris. So what is it like working with Chris and Ron in your experience?
Yeah, I gotta, be buttoned up. Now I'm just playing. It's dope, man. It's like working with your brothers. We built a really good relationship, and it's one of the cool things about like Bytechek right now is I've been able to have hire a lot of really talented people that know what they're doing. And when you start to surround yourself with experts and you start to be around people that really know what they're doing, it elevates your game. So when I get to hear Chris and Ron's episodes, when I just get to talk to them about the podcasting, and I just get to learn from the best, it makes me better. And it makes me step my game up too. So it's been awesome, man. And then, as you're in the family now, like they run a tight ship behind the scenes. Like things get done, and they get done when they're supposed to. It's really dope. So I love it, man. I don't know how people do podcasts. Like, I don't know how I would have done, like, some of my episodes come out and I'm like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. And I don't know how people would do it without like something like that behind them. I would never, there's no way I'm doing anything else but being in the Hacker Valley family.
So, for one, it's crazy because I've always said Hacker Valley, Darknet Diaries, and then Security Weekly, right? To me, those were the gold standard of cybersecurity podcasts. But Hacker Valley was where how I wanted my show to be, right? So you have Darknet Diaries, which is dope. It's a dope podcast, and it's telling different stories. You have Security Weekly, which talks about the latest things going on in tech and cybersecurity. But Hacker Valley, I think, brings those together, but also brings that human element. And then when I started my show, I said, okay, but how can I do that, but also give the people who are watching an opportunity to actually interact with these people? Okay, we got to do it live. And it would probably be a hell of a lot easier to do it pre-recorded and just put it out. But then I would miss that opportunity that I think makes my show stand out from the others, where it brings, now you have people in the chat who are interacting and can ask these questions. And now these so-called InfoSec rock stars are you can literally just type a question and they're interacting with you just like that. So and to me it was kind of selfish for me too, because now it was like I can bring people on that I would always want to learn from, and rather than just slide in their DMs and go, "Hey, can you help me?" I
Yeah.
can pose it as an interview question on a podcast,
Yep.
and then be like, "Boom, I still got my gem, and I still got what I needed." But so when I landed Chris and Ron to be on the show, I was ecstatic. I was like, "Yes, this is it." And then, like I said, they came to me. I had just come back from a conference. I was burned out. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes, moving and shaking, things that I wanted to do, like I said, with trying to bring my company forward that I didn't think went well. And Chris and Ron was like, "Yo, you got time to get on a call?" And I was like, "All right, fine, whatever." I'm thinking they're just like, "Come on, when you gonna come on the show?"
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, whatever. Let's just schedule it. Let's schedule it, right?" And they were like, "Yo, we want you on our network, and we want you to host. We want you to host Hacker Valley Blue." And I was like, "Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah." But to your point, when I got to see behind the scenes, and again, I don't want to tell nobody business, but when I got to see behind the scenes, I was like, I am doing all of this wrong. I am doing all, like I talked to Ron, and Ron's like, "Yeah, so this, and this." I'm like, "You can do that?" What, yo, it made me rethink life, like this whole it made me rethink this whole podcasting thing. But I'm super, like I tell them all the time, man, I am super grateful to them. I'm super grateful to be a part of the family, like I said, alongside you and Alan and Alyssa and everybody. And Chris said we got him being emotional over here. Nah, but hey, listen, it's all facts, man. It's all facts, big bro. So we appreciate it. So all right, so we gonna get to the last few questions. um three things. So one, if someone were to walk if someone walked to you right now, let's say you're in an elevator. I know we're remote, but let's say you walk into an elevator, someone gets in the elevator, they have an elevator pitch, and they say, for the duration of the elevator ride, what advice could you give me to get into tech? What would they be? And go.
Learn cloud. Find a cloud provider and learn cloud. And then the second, and then I'll give you another piece of advice. I'll give it three about it. So learn cloud is number one. Number two is share your learnings in public. Don't just pop up with certs and think people are going to care. You got to share what you're learning. You got to share it frequently on all of the social networks, or just pick a social network and build your brand. But if you're not building your brand while trying to break into tech, you are making the job really, really difficult.
Hustling backwards.
Hustling backwards for real. And then the other thing is you got to ignore the results in the early days. For the first, I tell anybody when they're trying to do something new or something very difficult, for the first 90 days of you going on that journey, ignore the results. Don't worry about if you're getting this many likes, this many retweets, views, whatever it is that you're doing. All you need to focus on is putting the work in. Be consistent, show up every day for 90 days. I promise at the end of those 90 days, you're going to be so much closer to your goal than what you thought, because you ignored the results. Oftentimes people get started on a journey, they're super excited about it, and the first results back are not great, and then that slows them down. They stop doing stuff, and it's because we're trying to be at the level we see on social media before we put the work in to get there. And that 90-day threshold allows you to truly build in those consistent skills that are going to be helpful. So that's my piece of learn cloud, learn in public to build your network, and then ignore the results for the first 90 days and focus on consistency.
Hey, listen.
Agree 100%. Learn cloud, which would lead into I think my follow would be lab.
Yep.
To make sure not only do you learn it, you understand it, and you can implement it, because they will ask you technical questions. Yeah. And build yourself as you're going along. Write a blog. You don't have to necessarily start your own blog site. Write on Medium. Hell, start a GitHub page and blog on GitHub. You know, do Twitter threads.
Yeah.
But you know, build that reputation, build reputation up. And like you said, you know, don't worry about the results. I tell people, don't worry about the quantity. Don't just worry about the quality, right?
Yep.
Don't worry about how many people are listening or how many people are watching. Just worry, you know, because you never know who's listening or watching. You know, again, this opportunity I got with Hacker Valley, I don't get put it this way: YouTube ain't paying my bills.
Facts.
Twitch ain't paying my bills. Even though I said my goal is to get on that Twitch streamer list, because I saw that list and I said I'm doing it backwards, because I saw that list is ridiculous. But yeah, YouTube's not paying bills with my viewership. Heck, my viewership is probably lower than most other people, but it's getting the attention of people who I didn't even think were even watching me. So don't give up, because if you give up, that opportunity will never present itself. So agree 100%. Next thing, what are your goals personally, professionally, Bytechek wise for the rest of 2022?
Personally, I want to go 365 days of meditating. I want to meditate every single day. I don't want to skip a day. I also want to run 1,000 miles this year. I'm a little behind because I got injured last month and had to take a few weeks off, but I'm still trying to push towards running 1,000 miles. Professionally, I'm all in on Bytechek, man. Like, I'm just going to grow the company, hire some really talented people and get out of their way. And grow this thing to a really big company and have the success that I think we will have, and really focus on the work. One of the things I said about Bytechek this year was I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the grind. I'm going to enjoy the process. I'm going to enjoy the steps to where I'm headed. And also, I want to be a better dad. It's a really important, one of the most important things in my life. Not one of the most important thing in my life is being a father. And I always will. I will put Bytechek to the side. I will put anything to the side. I will cancel meeting with investors if it's for my children. And I just want to continue that. I know what I'm here for, and I'm here for them and to build them up. So being a better dad, grow Bytechek really big, accomplish some of these personal goals. But I'm just locked in, man. I think the phase I'm in my life right now, my goals, I'm kind of like they're going to happen because I know I'm so locked in and so focused, and it's a dope place to be in, to just be at peace with the grind, but also just so locked in as well.
Put it in the universe. Put it in the universe, and like Ron says, put it in the universe, and the universe pays dividends.
Facts.
And final question: what is your why?
Oh, it's number one, my children, for sure. I'm building something for my son is a junior, so for A.J. Yawn the third, A.J. Yawn the fourth, A.J. Yawn the fifth is who I'm really building for them to have a life that I never even seen and I won't even be around for. But also I know the impact I can have on other Black technologists, other Black people trying to get into cybersecurity. So my why, my second purpose is to be a present founder, to be someone that they can point to and look at and say, that's who I can be. I can be that guy. I can go start a company and I have no software engineering background, and I can start a software company and build it into a big business. And now they have another option. That's all I want to be, is as a kid is growing up, there's another option for them to look at as I can get the chains, I can get the shoes, I can do all the things that I see that I want to see from the athletes and the rappers. This can happen over here too. And I just want to give another option. So that's my why, is being a present and building a company that people truly want to be at and work at and can be themselves. We did this culture survey, and one of my employees, young Black dude that lives out in Atlanta, he said, this is the first place I felt like I could be Black. This is the first place I felt like I could be me. And that's what I want. That's my why, is continuing to build a company where people truly feel they can be who they are. And I don't care. We don't care. It's about what we're doing, and we're going to have fun doing it. But you can be you at Bytechek. And that's my why, is making sure that I keep continuing to build a company where that's true.
Hey, listen.
That's dope. We got to show them that it can be done. We got to show them that it can be us that's doing it. But more importantly, it has to be us.
Facts.
So I'm going to end it with that. So again, you can tell the people how to find you.
Yes, sir. At AJ Yawn on Twitter, AJ Yawn on LinkedIn as well. And, engage with me on those platforms too, man. I talk back. My DMs are a little wild at times, so it might take me a little bit to get back on the DMs, but engage with me. And I try to be present and vocal, and I mentor people still. I spend about 4 hours a week mentoring. So I'll send you a calendar link if you reach out to me. It might be a few months based off of how booked my calendar is, but I'm here and available because I feel like that's what I need to do. So Twitter and LinkedIn is where I'm the most active.
That's what's up. Kalila said she needs to go apply to Bytechek real quick.
He needs to. Go ahead. Go pull up. We need people.
But for real, AJ, listen, man, it's been a pleasure, sir. Congratulations on all your success. Much blessings to you and more success to you in the future. Definitely look forward to working with you some more as part of the Hacker Valley family. I don't know if you noticed, but when I had Chris and Ron on here, I got them to commit to doing a Hacker Valley family cookout. So whenever we do that, we got to link up. My wife is doing the cake. So,
that'll be dope.
So, yeah, like I said, appreciate you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, this is AJ Yawn. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up the show. If no one has any questions, let me just kind of scroll through, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Professor Black Ops said, is your tool federal compliant?
Like, we're not qualified for FedRAMP, but we do help with NIST 853, 800-171, and CMMC.
Okay, so there you go. And then let's see. Tish said she had to go, but she's gonna catch the show later. Let me see. Scroll down. Nope. Okay. Kalila says, great show. Thank you. So, like I said, if you guys like what we're doing here, please go check out AJ. Go follow AJ. Go check out his show with Hacker Valley to comply and not to comply. Hacker Valley Blues coming next month, I believe. I think that's when we're gonna launch the first episode. So I'm already on it. It's crazy doing 2 podcasts or 3, whatever. But we're gonna make it happen. Again, if you like what's going on here, remember to comment in the comment section below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you really want to support, you can leave a super chat or you could buy me a coffee. Trust me, I need it right about now. I will probably really go put it towards coffee. But make sure you tune in next week because I will have I'll be talking IAM, so Identity and Access Management, with Andrew Chantaphone. You guys know him. He's on Twitter, but yeah, we're gonna be talking. We're gonna talk IAM, and we're gonna talk about the importance of locking that stuff down as well. And like I said, just be on the lookout for everything that's Hacker Valley related, InfoSec and Alpha Cybersecurity related, and Bytechek related. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, this has been another episode of InfoSec Unplugged. I have been your host, Davin Jackson. Thank you for joining. Love to my pack. I love y'all. Thank you, my guest, AJ, and I will see y'all next week. Y'all be easy.